controlled by self. If you're going to die, you're going to have to break the link of being controlled by self, by what self wants, by what self craves, by what self says I've got to have. You've got to break the link between the two. Because the link that you have, and see, the enemy is crafty. He will hook so many tentacles in you that you'll be so messed up that it's hard to bring you out. You got to sever the link if you're going to die. Because everything tentacle that the enemy hooks into you, it begins to make you act within yourself and all these selfish motives that you begin to have. Person that likes alcohol won't go get it anyway. I don't care if they're down to their last dollar, they're going to spend that last dollar if they really want it. They will neglect paying bills to get that stuff that they want. You got to sever the link. If you're going to die, you got to sever the link. You can't be saved and then over here doing this. You got to sever the link, because what you got playing with on the side will ultimately get over in the other part and mess everything up. Everyone, this is another point, is subject to spiritual law. And there is a war between the flesh and the Spirit of God. Everybody is subject to spiritual law. You're not going to get away from it. You're subject to it. There's a war between the flesh and the Spirit. If you are a fleshly person, you're going to lean toward that way of warfare. And if you're not careful, when people who are spiritual talk to you, you'll reject it because it goes against what you're operating on. The two are contrary to one another. That's why I don't understand how they can get on TV and thank God for the talents that they have, but use profanity all through their music. They contrary to one another. I don't understand. I don't understand it. You don't help me understand that the spiritual law is that if the enemy is going to mess with you, he's going to have a body. And he's going to have to get in somebody to mess with you. Or he's going to mess with your mind. Or he's going to mess with something. And the only way you're going to win this warfare, you're going to have the Spirit of God. You're going to have it. So everybody is subject to spiritual law. Even when Jesus came in the flesh, he adhered to spiritual law that every child that is born has to be born through a woman. He just couldn't show up and say, I'm the Son of God and I'm full grown. He had to go through the process of growth. And so you got to be careful what you let grow in you. If you let hatred grow in you, sooner or later it will consume you. If you let jealousy grow in you, sooner or later the jealousy will consume you. You see the operation of spiritual law? That you get jealous and all of a sudden you so jealous that can't nobody look at you. And you know some people are so hate-filled and paranoid that if somebody look at them, they talking about it. Oh yes, and it's in the church. This spirit of paranoia is in the church. Don't fool yourself.
All right.
Pastor be up preaching and then he talking about me. They're paranoid. Whatever you let grow in you, that's what will consume you. Then you are trying to get antidepressants and everything else. You ain't got no peace. That's why you're taking the pills, making you feel better. One pill to make you feel better. The other pill to slow you down so you don't feel too good and mess up your credit and spend everybody's money. Oh my God.
Help yourself.
The believer has to be born again and washed in the blood of the Lamb to repel the advances of the enemy. You got to realize one thing. Even if somebody's on the devil's territory, he don't like them either. He just using them. Y'all ever seen somebody just use somebody? Just use them because they're around. Just use them because they're built. That's how the enemy does it. And you're going to have to be born again, washed in the blood, filled with the Holy Ghost, if you're going to repel the advances. He will mess with your mind. He will separate you from your family. He will mess up relationships. He will mess up children.
Yeah.
And if you're going to repel him, you're going to have the power to repel him.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Another point. The world system and mentality will go against the Spirit of God, and the believer must stand even when it is not popular. The mentality of the world. You hit me, I'm going to hit you back. Talk about me, I'm going to talk about you too. The mentality of the world. You play a trick on me, I'm going to get you back. Mess with my car, I'm going to mess with your car. The world mentality. And what the world will tell you, I would too. I don't blame you. Now you're in trouble. About to get a felony, about to get charged with a felony, and they talk about, I don't blame you, I would have done it too. The world mentality is not your friend. The world system of thinking is anti-God. Yeah. It's anti. It's so anti that the worldly mentality, a little line won't hurt nothing. A little line won't hurt nothing. A little play won't hurt nobody. A little bit here, a little bit there. But if you buy into the worldly system, the worldly mentality of how they do things, you're going to get yourself in trouble.
Yes, yes.
And I'm not talking about physical trouble, spiritual trouble. That's why you see some folk that have done so much stuff, now they got isolated, they all by themselves, they depressed, they ain't got no friend, and the only way that they can amp themselves up is start a bunch of trouble. But God is not in it. You got to stand when it's not popular. You got to say something when it ain't popular for you to say it.
Man.
Another point. You have to die to live. And you got to be careful what you subject yourself to. Ungodly things will cause you your downfall. I tell folk when they talk about that they have some sort of addiction, or they don't call it addiction, they just like to do it. I said sooner or later it's going to turn on you. And whereas you were controlling it, it's going to start controlling you. It ain't a one-day process that something starts to control you. It's over time that it starts controlling you. Yeah. At first, it's just fashionable to do because everybody else is doing it. And to be sociable, that's what most drinkers, they drink to be sociable at first. And then they move on from being sociable to it's the weekend. And so now I got to get my little nip on the weekend. I've been there, I'm sorry, I've been there in my lifetime. And then they go from being with the little group on the weekend, wherever they go, to sitting up in the house by themselves, and they can't live without it. Now you got a problem, because when you wake up in the morning, you got to get a little something. I knew a man, this man, I was in the army, and the man had to have him something when we went to PT, when we went to breakfast, when we went on the range, and then he had to have it all evening. And I said to myself, my God. But I discovered when something is controlling you, or you subject yourself to it, it they'll start running you